Welcome back to my channel. It's Hillary Jubilee. If you're new, we usually talk about manifestation, conscious creation, and the law of assumption here. There's been a bit of a pivot. I have a lot of content on specific person on my channel. If you don't know what that is, it's basically when you're manifesting, usually somebody that you know of. It could be someone that you make up in your head, and of course that is possible. It's been done before, but I haven't had a recent experience, which you can hear about in my last video, where my SP that I was with for 2.5 years ended up being a narcissistic abuser. And so that experience kind of shifted my, perception on manifesting a specific person, especially if it's coming from a place of ego and it's just, if you're going against yourself. So it can be, totally fine if it's aligned with, who you truly are and it feels right to you. That's still a thing. Of course, people, you can manifest a relationship still, and manifest love and all of that, everything, all those amazing things. It's just, if you feel something like, I just feel like the SP community can be a little bit toxic, and I did talk about that in my last video, but the reason being just because a lot of times you might be going against yourself, who you truly are, and manifesting truly just from an ego-based place, and it's not healthy. So that is a lot of what my channel was consisting of, and so we're kind of pivoting, and today's video is going to be about how to feel worthy in 2023. And this is super pertinent for me because obviously I just went through a breakup 2 weeks ago or so, and I really realized that the root of this whole experience was that feeling of unworthiness. And so if you're practiced at feeling unworthy and not enough, it feels comfortable, and it feels it's just easy to stay in that place of unworthiness. And your reality, you create your own reality. So your dominant feeling state is going to be reflected back to you in your circumstances. So if you have a base feeling of unworthiness and you want to manifest all of these amazing things, but you're still staying in that feeling of unworthiness, the outcome of the things that you are bringing in are eventually probably going to reflect that unworthiness back to you. So let's talk about how we can create from a place of wholeness and worthiness, so that we can create what we really want, and create that from within, and feeling that feeling of wholeness and worthiness from within. And yes, so this is obviously something that I am doing right along there with ya. So my first tip for how to feel worthy is keeping promises to yourself. So for example, this could be like on the self-development journey. If you have a bunch of healthy habits that you know that you want to start, or even just one, and you say, oh, I'll start tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes around, oh, I'll start tomorrow again, and you just keep on putting it off and procrastinating, and you should be doing this habit to feel better, to raise your vibration, or to be aligned with your higher self, or to embody the version of you that you would like to be, especially with the new year. I mean, anytime obviously, but who you are being is attracting, your circumstances to you. So if you want different circumstances, you got to be different. So if you're still doing the same old habits and you're not, implementing the change that you feel within yourself, not because other people are telling you that you should, but, habits that you feel that you want to do to align with that version of you who would already have the life of your dreams. So if you are not keeping promises to yourself, it's really easy to have, negative self-talk. If you're out of integrity with yourself, you're not keeping promises to yourself, it's easy to feel unworthy, because it's like, okay, well, why would I trust myself if I say I'm going to do something and then I don't do it? So yeah, my first tip for feeling worthy is to really, if you're going to set goals for yourself, or implement a new habit, really just do it. Nobody's gonna hold your hand. You have to be your own best cheerleader. I mean, obviously there's therapy and coaching and all that stuff to help you if you need a hand holding, but nobody can force your hand to, eat healthier, or to meditate in the morning, or to exercise, like whatever healthy habit or whatever it is that you feel that you should be doing for yourself. No one's gonna force you to do it, so you gotta be your own best friend and do it. So keep promises to yourself. That, I believe, helps you feel worthy. And that does lead me into the next step. So self-talk. So telling a different story. So if you are constantly, if you're feeling unworthy, then you might have patterns of thought where it's like, oh, like I'm not capable or I'm not enough. And you're just like negatively speaking to yourself about, your abilities or whatever it is. So if you have negative self-talk, it's going to perpetuate those feelings of unworthiness and you're stuck in that cycle. So being aware of whatever's going on in your mind. So if you catch yourself saying, like, if you make a mistake and then you're like, oh, that was so stupid of me, it's like, catch yourself and correct that self-talk, correct the behavior. So if you do something, you make a mistake, it's like, oh, fuck, I'm so stupid. No, actually, I'm a human being and sometimes we make mistakes. So I forgive myself and we move on. We'll do better next time. It's no big deal. Not going to beat up on myself. So really shifting the way that you speak, and not just in your mind and your thoughts, but also self-deprecating humor or like things like that. If you say out loud to your friends and family about negatively speaking about yourself, you want to catch that too, because how you speak in your mind or out loud is, it's the story you're telling is creating your life. So really being aware of the way you're speaking about you, and speak about yourself kindly, even if it feels kind of unnatural. Like you gotta, like at first it will feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable. It's like, okay, you might feel silly or like you're lying if you're trying to say like good job today, or like, saying something nice about yourself. It might feel a little bit odd or off, but if you get into the habit, then it will start to feel more natural and you'll start to believe the things that you're saying. So get in the habit of catching any negative self-talk and just correct that and make sure that you're speaking kindly to yourself. Speak to yourself as though you are worthy. So telling that story of worthiness, you are capable. Like and another way to do this is, all of those tools that we have. So you can reprogram your subconscious mind at night by listening to affirmations, or scripting like I am affirmations of I am worthy, I am capable, those types of things, or just, affirming them in your head, however you do it, but changing the story from one of lack and not enoughness and unworthiness to wholeness and worthiness and you are enough. And my last tip is to practice the feeling, okay? And that might sound annoying, but it's like, I don't know, for so long I was like, okay, like obviously the feeling is a secret and you want to feel the feelings of your future, but it's like, okay, well, like how? Like I feel so unworthy and like my environment is telling me I'm unworthy, and like, everything reflecting back to me what I already believe. It's the way that you can actually practice a feeling is to connect to source energy. Connect to source energy, okay? So if you're feeling unworthy and you're feeling in lack, you're in separation from God, or you're in separation from who you truly are, or the universe, or however you want to call it. I'm calling it God these days. If you're feeling anything that isn't love and wholeness and worthiness, then you're disconnected from source. So we got to connect to source. That is, I feel, the key to feeling worthy every day. And my number one suggestion, I have a few, but meditating, obviously, and my favorite being Dr. Joe Dispenza, Blessing of the Energy Centers. It's a long one. It's an hour long. But the results from his, meditations speak for themselves if you do your research. But anyway, so even if it's just 10 minutes, like breathing with no sound at all, even if you don't want to do guided, just listen to your breath, and you have chatter thoughts, you bring it back to the breath. No matter how many times you have to do that, you just keep doing it. And it becomes easier over time. And when you can focus on something that is not your circumstances and your brain chatter, get your attention off of what already is and onto source or onto nothingness, and make that a habit you will feel the connectedness and the wholeness and the worthiness if you practice that. So number one suggestion is meditation and also breath work. I'm really getting into breath work these days, and it's the natural high. It's a natural high. There's some on YouTube that you can find. And yeah, just the power of the breath and the power of meditation, it cannot be overstated. It's just, yeah, highly recommend. Those are two really powerful ways. And it's not just like, oh, I'm feeling really anxious, I need to do a meditation. It's like the gym, you know, it's like the gym. So like, you don't say like, oh, I'm feeling really out of shape, I need to go to the gym, and then just like never go again. It's a daily practice or like, you know, you do it all the time so that it becomes part of who you are. And yeah, so the more that you practice, the stronger you get with the gym, and the more that you meditate or do breath work, the more, you know, you react less in your day-to-day. You perceive things differently. You perceive through the eyes of love more, and it changes your life. So meditation and breath work. And then I have two more ways to practice the feeling of feeling worthiness. Have you ever heard of Wim Hof, my man Wim Hof? He talks about breath work and cold water exposure. And so I live on an island, so sometimes I go in the ocean, but you can just do it in your shower, and you can start with 15 seconds. He has an app for that. And yeah, you just hop in the shower. I think you're supposed to do it at the end, but you can start with 15 seconds, and you just put it on as cold as it goes and let it run over you. And it's like, there's no thinking, there's no conscious thinking when freezing cold water is like pouring down onto you, or if you're submerged into freezing cold water. There's no like, it shuts off the thought. I think it's similar to like these other practices where it's like breath work. And anyway, it gives you a rush of energy and it feels really great. So that is another thing. And then the fourth and final way I'm gonna say is A Course in Miracles. And I've talked about this in my last video a little bit, but essentially it is a spiritual psychotherapy. So it's an undoing of the ego. And it's a mind training, and it's the book itself is 3 different books in one. So it's got a text, a workbook for students, and that workbook is 365 lessons, one for each day of the year. And they're just little exercises, like little affirmations and little you do like meditation throughout the day, and you repeat things throughout the day. And it doesn't really make much sense at first, but if you keep going, you'll start to see that your perception opens up, and it does, you know, change you. So I would highly recommend that. So those 4 things are awesome ways that you can, you know, habits that you can implement to help feel worthy. Especially, yeah, I already said blessing of the energy centers, but whatever you can do to get your attention off of what is, you know, physical matter. Yeah. Because if you're always thinking about your same old circumstances, thinking about the same old things, feeling those same old lack feelings or unworthiness, whatever that baseline, you know, like not really feeling that great. If you're living in those emotions constantly, nothing's gonna change that much. You gotta change who you are. So if you have any other suggestions on how to feel worthy from within yourself, I would love to hear them. I'm open to suggestions. We're going into 2023. We're gonna feel worthy, healthy, whole, happy. You know, my three words for 2023 are whole. No, let me say it in order. Worthy, wealthy, and whole. The 3 W's this year, okay? So yeah, if you have any other suggestions, pop them down below. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.